Moving on to another story, members of Congress returned today from Thanksgiving break for what's actually a final 2 weeks to wrap up usually legislative loose ends. But this is no normal lame duck session. Republicans, who will soon control both houses of Congress, are fuming over U.S. President Barack Obama's executive action on immigration. This session will test whether House Speaker John Boehner and Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, or soon-to-be leader, could control rebellious GOP lawmakers. Some of them want to link government funding to a number of issues. Meanwhile, some observers say there's growing division among Democrats in the aftermath of a resounding midterm election defeat. Progressives and moderates want the leadership to pursue different legislative priorities. Earlier, I spoke with Arise News contributor Eric Ham from Washington, D.C. So let's start with what this lame duck session has to try to get done in the next few weeks before the end of the year. But let me just ask you a general question.
Sure. How
motivated are the Democrats to reach across the aisle on some issues to sort of mute the impact of the vastly Republican-controlled Congress that's coming in January?
Sure. I think right now that the Democrats know they're no longer going to be in control of either the House or the Senate, I think particularly in the Senate, I think what you're going to see is a more progressive bent. And you've actually heard them talking about this since that midterm drubbing. You had Chuck Schumer from New York. He was here at the press club last week, talking about how they need to go in a different direction. And so I think you're going to see them kind of step to the plate. There's a tax subsidy that is geared towards the rich that the lame duck Congress will be taking on. And so I think they want to take a stand and strip that away from this tax bill. So those are some of the issues that I think they're going to want to tackle to sort of like lay down a marker. Also keep in mind Elizabeth Warren, who's like the progressive darling, she's going to be taking a leadership position in the next Congress. So I think they want to kind of like start the ball rolling on that right now.
Yeah, I think one of the elephants in the room, if not the elephant in the room, of course, is the funding of the government, which will run out December 11th. So they've got to come up with some sort of plan by then to avoid a shutdown. Of course, John Boehner said about this time last year that there would be no more shutdown, that was off the table. But more conservative, particularly Tea Party, said, hey, wait a minute, we shouldn't take this off the table. Read the tea leaves there. Are we in danger of a shutdown?
Well, neither party wants to see a shutdown, especially the Republicans, given that they just took control of the Congress. And also, you have to understand where voters are looking now. You know, and if you take a look at this Congress, you had a split Congress. You had the Republicans who had control of the House. You had the Democrats who control the Senate. But now you've got a clear divide between Democrats and Republicans. There's a Democratic president. There's a Republican-controlled Congress. And the last thing Republicans want, especially looking forward to 2016, is another government shutdown. But you're right. And John Boehner is going to have a very tricky road to go here in trying to corral enough Republicans, but also keeping everyone happy, because keep in mind, his speakership could very well be on the line. He's going to need, you know, all the support that he can get. And can he make them happy? You know, this is an area, this is a huge issue of brinkmanship. The Republicans simply were not happy with President Obama's executive order on immigration. And so I think it's going to be a very challenging time. And I think this is one time when Mitch McConnell, I think, could come to John Boehner's rescue to corral all the Republicans to kind of like push this ball forward.
Yeah, and wouldn't that be an irony there? Let's talk a little bit more about John Boehner. I mean, he barely could control the Republican-run House in its present numbers, but when it's going to change with even more conservatives that come into the House, I wonder, will he be able not only to corral them, to use your word, but to even stay in the position?
Yeah, and it's just going to be a very difficult, I think, sentiment for him, a very difficult job, you know, and trying to, you know, bring them all together. One thing that he has going for him is they actually picked up more seats. So while he does have more Republicans and he doesn't have to worry about basically the Democrats at all, he does need to make sure that he keeps his caucus happy. and that, you know, he can bring enough votes that he can actually maintain his speakership. Now, one thing that he does have going for him is there isn't necessarily someone in line who's actually vying for that position. Michelle Bachmann is actually leaving at the end of this year, and as you know, she actually formed the Tea Party caucus. So he won't have her to necessarily contend with. And then also he will have big brother Mitch McConnell, who will be the Senate Majority Leader, who he can reach to and he can call on if things get too difficult for him, you know, trying to control his caucus. Mitch McConnell just seems to have a way to, when there's a deal on the line and something needs to get done, Mitch McConnell just has a way of kind of like bringing things together. And I think he will rely very heavily on Mitch McConnell in the next session.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. We'll leave it right there for now. Eric Ham, as always, thank you, sir.
Thank you.